Hey Labrats, this is Tom Nando and welcome to our Halloween special interview. And tonight we have Vox R King from UK horror metal band Psychodrive. Hey Vox, thanks for joining us.
What's happening?
How are you?
Yeah, getting by, doing bits.
Cool. So let's talk a little bit about the history of Psychodrive and how it all started for you.
So essentially, I moved from Liverpool to Bedford, however many years ago it was. Thought, what I'm going to do, I'm going to start a band here. Got in contact with people, found a person who eventually became my guitarist, who basically turned around to me and said, my brother plays drums, I was like, fucking get him involved, you know what I mean? Went from there, sort of had a bassist, dropped a bassist, a couple of changes of bassist here and there. Got the one we've got now, who's, sick.
Yeah.
And, started doing some open mic nights. Was a very, very strange thing to do. When, open mic nights are normally just people doing Oasis covers, a couple of Ed Sheeran songs, and then you just get us up doing, original metal songs. Not in the costumes just yet, but, it's still weird. And then just from there, just started doing more and more gigs, and then one day our drummer turned around going, what if we start wearing masks, though? And I'm like, I'm in. So, and it just sort of became what we are now.
Cool. Did you not worry that you might get a little bit pigeonholed about the whole mask thing and you're trying to be like someone else, or did that not really worry you?
I mean, yeah and no. Like, obviously, anytime someone wears a mask and is in in a metal band, straight away people go, is he meant to be Slipknot, though? And you're like, no, but I can see the comparison. The same way, Michael Myers and Jason, they're, influenced, but they're not technically the same thing. Different.
Yeah.
So, I get the comparisons, but no.
So where did the idea of the pig head come from?
Essentially, I was going to a Halloween party a while ago, and I thought I'm going to pick something that's, I know I like, but the random on the street wouldn't know. But if you know, you know. So I just picked a Batman villain at the time, Professor Pig, who you can look at a picture of if you Google him. It's not far off what I look like now, to be honest with you. But no, I started off as that, just as a Halloween costume. Wore that for a gig once, and then thought, you know what, this works very well. And then from there, just keep adding to it and expanding to it. I've got the little barbed wire halo currently. Got the little nose ring in that now. Just sort of adding to it and changing things up here and there, as you do. I've got clothes, but I'm not wearing them at the minute.
Do you remember your first gig, and then how does it compare to the last gig that you played?
I think the first gig that we did would have been one of the open mic nights. So again, it was legitimately like a room of about 9-10 people. Do the gig there. There was other people, but they were normally outside on a smoke break. And because at the time, my anxiety of being on stage in front of people doing my type of vocals in front of a lot of people I don't know was a bit like, don't like this. So I used to sort of have, once the song started, I just had close my eyes, give it beans, and then open my eyes again at the end of the songs. So I sort of shut my eyes when there was like 5-10 people in the room max. Shut my eyes, opened them again at the end, and there was like 30 people in the room. I was like, what the fuck is going on? Which was pretty weird and pretty wild. But no, compare that to the most recent one. I can't remember what the most recent one was. Because, lockdown and Ronas and everything else. I think one of the last ones we did was the Metal to the Masses, which is obviously a lot more than, 9 people. So yeah, that was pretty sick. Having our logo behind us as we're doing songs and stuff was pretty wild. And I've also got more confidence when I'm on stage now than I did back then anyway.
I think the first time that I seen you was at the St. Neots Rugby Club when you supported Own Your Life.
Yep.
That was a really cool gig as well.
I appreciate that. It was a pretty sick gig all around, to be fair.
It was a really good night, wasn't it, to be honest? A good crowd.
Yeah.
So, did you find that you had new subscribers after that night? People that sort of showing a bit of interest and stuff?
Some. I recall being outside after we played, and I just hearing people speak as you do, when you're outside and that. I just heard someone going, I like the bands that, you know, speak about the truth and the hard realities of things, and I'm sort of sat there going, I was in a pig mask singing songs about Pennywise the clown, and so I'm like, clearly he's not one of these people that like us. So yeah, but yeah, no, you know, a couple of people, no.
Cool. So what was your first introduction into metal? When did it all start for you as a person?
Oh, jeez. I mean, technically, it wasn't. I didn't hear it at the time until many years later. But in my nan's house, there was a VHS
Wow.
of an Iron Maiden live show.
Wow.
To this day, I've still not actually seen it. So I've got no idea what gig it was. I just seen the cover and just seen the Eddie, the mascot dude. And I was like, that looks really fucking cool, and I want to know what this is. And I wasn't allowed to watch it or listen to it or anything for like years after the fact, because I was like, you know, 4. But, but yeah, I can't remember the first band, if I'm being honest. It was probably Linkin Park or Limp Bizkit or something, to be honest.
Awesome.
But yeah.
So obviously we'll stay on the horror theme for a little while. So if you could combine your favourite horror actor with your favourite band, who would what would the combination be?
I mean, gotta go with Robert England. Know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I can't pronounce his second name. England, however you pronounce it. Because man is just charisma, just out the arse. I'm not too sure what band I'll pop him in, to be fair. I mean, recently I've been on a bit of a buzz of the old Ice Nine Kills because they released a new album recently, which is really fucking good, and obviously horror themed. So I mean, that would be pretty sick. Do a Freddy Krueger song in that as Freddy Krueger. That'd be pretty badass.
I think so. That would look pretty cool as well with the stage there, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So your earlier stuff, your early songs, there's not much that is on social media. So where can people actually find the content that they can listen to your stuff?
At the moment, we should be on fucking everything. I mean, there's only 2 songs out currently, just because we've had a bit of a ball ache. But yeah, we should be on, you know, Spotify. I don't think we have a YouTube channel, but our songs are on YouTube. There's Apple Music. There's Deezer. I think one of our newest songs also a sound option on TikTok. We're on fucking everything, mate. If you Google us, we come up straight away, which is pretty sick as well.
Awesome.
You should all come from there as well.
So your new track, Kimura, I've had a chance to listen to it. I was probably one of the first people as well, which is awesome. It's completely different to your early stuff. Completely. Right. Why do you think it's sort of the sound's changed, and how was the writing process for you?
I mean, to me, I don't think it's. I mean, obviously it is different, but for me, I don't feel like it's different. But that's probably just because we sort of made all the songs in a sort of a 9 months to a year period, essentially. Yeah. So to me, they all just sort of bleed into one another. But I get, obviously, if you're not a part of that creative process, just hearing one and then a couple of years later hearing another one going, why the fuck is that completely different? So I get it. But yeah, I think because the first song that we had, Death House, was more of a sort of introduction to the fact that, you know, we're a horror metal band, so it was focused more on the horror element. Yeah. Whereas the Gomorrah focuses less on the horror and more on the metal side of things, just to sort of give people a good balance of both. And I believe if we haven't started work on the third release, we are starting to do it next week, I believe, as well. So the third song coming semi-shortly-ish, the next month or 2, I believe.
So what's the story behind the track Kimura? Can you explain that for us?
Yes, essentially, as you may guess, but just by looking at me, I have various mental health problems. So yeah, it's essentially I sort of made it lyrically anyway. The song is just about sort of the day-to-day struggles with having mental health issues and just how it just eats at you and just consistently every day, in, out, same shit every day, never ends. And that's just what it's meant to give it, just a sense of dread of just, this is just consistent, like, I just can't get out of my head type thing, which works both a good way and bad way. I remember one of my friends heard it. isn't a fan of our music normally, sort of heard it and going, I don't like it, but it's stuck in my head, and I'm like, good, that's the fucking point of the song.
Yeah, definitely. And if it can engage more people, then that's what it's all about, isn't it?
That's also true as well, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So let's go into a bit about you and your preparation. So what kind of preparation do you do before you start a live performance?
Oh, jeez. Well, I mean, getting all this on, that's normally part of it, obviously.
Yeah, do you do any vocal prep or?
Not really, to be honest with you. I mean, this might sound a little bit stupid, but I sort of do the thing that's in High School Musical.
Mm.
I don't know how familiar you are with High School Musical. No, my sister used to watch it a lot, so it used to be on TV quite regularly. To do a little thing with it, something like, I do like weird little shit like that, and I do have random vocal tics that I'll very rarely do when I'm excited, so they come out a bit more sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so usually just that, and then just sort of getting dressed, sort of go into a dark area and be like, let's go mental, and try and remember the song lyrics to songs I wrote, because I forget everything.
So what age was it when you started getting into sort of horror?
Jesus, a lot younger than I probably should have done. So about that, my mum isn't the best of parental figures, which I'm saying, with kindness. So once they went out, you sort of went to video shop and that, as you do in the 90s, and sort of seen a VHS, went, that'll do, no worries.
Mm-hmm.
Popped that on, pissed off in the kitchen to do whatever, or in the other room to do whatever she was doing. Came back in to check on me about an hour later, and just seen like blood all over the screen, going, what is going on here? And that was the first time I seen it. And I must have been about 5 or 6, I think.
Jeez.
And I just sat there the whole time going, haha, funny clown, yay. And yeah, that was fun.
And then what was the idea of bringing the sort of the horror and the metal together? When did that sort of come out?
I mean, I don't know who it was that said, so I wish I remembered the exact person. But someone said once that you should write about the things that you know and the things that you care about, the things that you're passionate about.
Yeah.
So I just sort of did that. And then what just sort of came out was just horror-y shit. I know originally our guitarist played the riff from Halloween, and we made an entire song that was about Michael Myers, Freddy, Jason, Leatherface. It was a sick song, if I say so myself, I'm not going to lie.
Mm.
We don't do it anymore, but it was fun while it lasted. And it was just called The Horror Song. And then from there, it just sort of expanded and just became us, essentially. So if I could pinpoint a specific moment that we became a horror band, it's probably that song.
Awesome. So you sent me over some footage of some film stuff that you've been doing. Can you elaborate a bit more on that for us?
I think the thing I sent you was the music video that I'm in. Was it in this costume, I'm assuming?
Yeah.
Yes, it's for the music video that I'm filming the rest of it on Sunday this week, actually. Yes, we will be we're doing a guest spot on one of our friends' songs. Our friend being JD, and also the Keepers of the Wicked being friends of ours and that. So basically, vocals on that song with them, and I'm just sort of filming the music video with them as well. So yeah, it's going pretty good.
Cool. There's a bit of the rap element in it as well, I heard. So that sounded pretty cool.
They are a rap band. Yes, that's correct. I don't rap personally, but that's what they do. That's not a problem. I just sort of come in with my my kind of shit that I do. Yeah.
So for someone that's never heard of Psychodrive before, so if you've met someone at a concert that's never heard of you guys before, what would you like tell them that they would expect to hear?
Jeez. I mean, the artist in me would say, it's an audio experience of the mind, whereas the reality of the situation is, just imagine if Jason got out a guitar one day and thought, fuck it. That's basically what you're going to get. In my head, anyway.
Yeah. So what advice did you get before becoming a musician?
What, in just life in general?
Yeah.
Just do the things that you care passionate about in general. Just stick to it. If you don't ask, you don't get. If you don't try, you'll never succeed.
Definitely. So what's next then? What's next on the agenda for you guys? Obviously, are you planning on releasing an EP soon?
Yes and no. So essentially, the way we're doing it currently is because we originally had a plan to record an EP album, whatever you want to call it, of basically like sort of a rough idea of all of the songs that we play at gigs normally.
Yeah.
Just so we sort of get it out there, everyone knows what we're about, sort of go from there. Then obviously a big thing happened in the world, and that kind of fucked things up for us. So that didn't happen. Obviously, as you can see, I've got some at-home equipment now, so that helps. We started recording songs from home, which was how Gomorrah was recorded. And as I mentioned before, we're going to start the next one soon. So our current plan is to try, at least, to record a song a month, release a song per month in theory. Obviously, delays probably will happen here and there, and then just sort of go song by song basis each month or two until we've released all the songs that we would play at a gig normally.
So if you could play with any metal artist in the world or any metal band, who would it be?
Jeez. I mean, currently, again, coming back to the horror element of the metal as well.
Yeah.
Iceman Killers isn't a bad shout.
Cool.
Because they're also, you know, a band that is metal and also do horror, which I found out by complete accident as well. Because I was talking to someone actually about our band, and I said, you know, we've got a song about Pennywise and that, because he asked like what songs it are about, and I said, I've got one about Pennywise, and I'm like, oh, like Iceman Killers do, and I was like, you fucking what? And I had to go and Google them, and I was listening to it, and I was like, I hate it because it's fucking good. I don't like it. But yeah, so yeah, no, I'll probably go with them. Or again, you know, Masks, Slipknot probably would work well as well.
Yeah.
Or Vended, however the fuck you pronounce the name, the Corey Taylor's kids band.
Vended, yeah, that's Corey's son's band.
Yeah, that's the one. I wouldn't mind doing a gig with them either, to be fair. Pretty sick.
That's cool, man. So, is it a 4-piece band that you're in, or is it 3-piece?
It's 4, yes.
4-piece, yeah.
Yeah.
And who are the other band members?
So there's me, obviously.
Yeah.
There is our guitarist, Shaq, our drummer, Sammy, and there's our bassist, Sean.
Awesome. So how do you think social media impacts on the band?
I think it's like most things, really. Obviously, if no one knows who you are, then why would anyone care?
Yeah.
So, you know, you only really, in terms of modern sort of social media and bands and whatnot, you only exist to people that know about you in the first place. If you're not on their social media radar, they couldn't give a shit. Like, if you walk past a gig and it just says whoever the fuck on the thing, you're going to go, that's wonderful about who they are. It's not until obviously you look into the social media side of the thing and see how they are that way, you'd be like, right, fair enough, I get what they're about now. Sound. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah.
Yeah, this is what we're trying to do here. We're trying to obviously, you know, make underground bands more established and more sort of out there for people to hear. Yeah. You know, my attitude has always been, you know, you never know what kind of band until you listen to them, because they could be your new favorite band. All it takes is one track, doesn't it? You know, someone could like Gomorrah and then go onto your website, buy a bit of merch, and before you know it, you're their new favorite band. And that's always been my philosophy, and I still believe that. You know, there's plenty of cool underground bands that are doing some really awesome stuff at the moment. I mean, some of the songs and, you know, are just absolutely amazing.
I agree. There is just so many. It's a ridiculous amount of bands, just even sort of in your own town, that you just don't know of until you just sort of find them, essentially. Which sounds stupid saying you don't know them until you found them, but that's literally what happens. No,
I agree. I've done a review a couple of months ago from a band in Orlando, and we collaborate with a radio station called Misery Point Radio, and I'd done this review on the band, and this guy's a DJ, Mike Peacock, and Mike lives in the city that I'd done the review of the band in, and he'd never heard of them. So that's what's cool about underground, isn't it? That, you know, you can actually find bands in the same city as you that you've never even heard of before. That's what it's about, you know. And this guy's a radio DJ, and he was like, "Oh my god, I've never even heard of this band," which to me is so cool, because it's a bit like being a heavy metal treasure hunter. You know, you can just get out there and you can find these bands. So what do you believe is the secret to success?
Jesus, that's a heavy question. I mean, success is what you make of it, really. I mean, if your dream in life is to, you know, settle down, have a kid, and you've done that, then you've achieved your dreams, really. Your dream is to sort of have a Richard Branson-esque sort of estate behind you, then it might be a bit more tricky to sort of achieve at that point. But yeah, it's, you know, just stick to what you want to do. Aim for the skies, and that. Don't just settle for something less. Aim for what you want to do. See it, and do it. If you can't do it, then just sort of set yourself steps to get there, type thing.
Awesome. You see, you seem pretty driven. I mean, is that like the whole band? Do you want to take that next level now to get there?
I mean, pretty much. I mean, it might sound obviously pretty big-headed coming from me, but I don't believe we're a shit band, put it that way. So, like, I believe that, you know, I've got quite confidence in ourselves that we can do the things that we want to do. It's just sort of getting to that stage, essentially.
I think it's important to be yourselves, isn't it, and not sort of divert from that sort of, you know, if someone comes on board and says, "Oh, we want to change the look or we want to change the sound," I think it's quite important that you be who you are, you know, because this can happen. It kind of, you know, this can happen where, you know, a minor label will sign you and say, "Oh, we don't like this and we don't like that," but this is what you guys represent, you know, and it's important for people, isn't it, to, you know, to just be yourselves.
I agree. I mean, I know growing up, it's sort of like, I never sort of, I mean, even just going by pure visuals, like, I never sort of seen someone that looks like me, in terms of, you know, a fat person, essentially. And you don't really see that many, like, fairly overweight dudes sort of on TV in bands and stuff very often. I mean, obviously, there are a couple of examples, obviously, but there's not that many of them, really. So yeah, just even if it was just, that was the thing, like, that's enough for me, type thing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it is quite important, though, isn't it, to obviously set that standard of who you are, you know, especially for younger people coming up, because it is a lot like the pop world as well. You know, you get all your glamour people, but in metal, it is very the same, isn't it? You know, to be the face of a band, most of the time, it's always the good-looking guy, isn't it? But it's nice to set that precedence and be someone different.
It's like, you know, it's just, I don't know. It's just, we sort of just do what we want to do. And if people like that, sick. If you don't, fair enough, not a problem. And that's just sort of what we're about, really. Just sort of get up, do our shit. If you want to join and get involved, get involved. If you don't, fair play.
Exactly. I think it's important as well, because for kids growing up and seeing bands like, you know, like you from Bedford and Own Your Life from St. Neots, and, you know, there is that realism that if you want it that much, you can do. Anyone can do it, can't they? You know? Yeah.
There's nothing stopping between, like, I don't know, you and, I can't think of a person. And whoever's on your Spotify tunes currently. Like, there's no difference between them.
Like Artist Murder or Ingested or whoever, It's all about getting a lucky break at the end of the day, isn't it? And I think that's the most important thing. You don't know who's there watching you. You know, could be anyone from anywhere. So I think always having the best performance on the night is what it's all about.
Just remind you of that time when we had a gig where literally no one came because there was a massive storm, and it was on like a Tuesday night as well. So, you know, no one gave a shit. Literally one person was in the audience, and that person was a reviewer for a local magazine. So that went down well.
So cool.
So yeah, that didn't go great.
You might see a little shadow. If you do, it's a little butterfly that's just come in to join me. So little heavy metal butterfly probably. So yeah. So is there anyone that you know is watching tonight that you'd like to sort of say hello to or anything? Or
I mean, I'm not 100% sure who will be watching, if I'm being completely honest. If you're there and you know me, it's happening. If you're there and you don't know me, it's happening. Now you do know me.
cool. So just before we finish off, obviously, is there any sort of mentions you'd like to do? Anyone you'd like to thank for, helping you, on your journey or anything?
I mean, my bandmates would be obviously a massive fucking part of that.
Definitely.
Yeah, they're a huge fucking part of the band, obviously, more so than I am, because it's like, I don't know, I just feel like I just walk into the band practice room, just sort of open my mouth and just leave, whereas they've got like genuine fucking talent.
Well, you're the front man though.
This is the unfortunate sort of problem. Get sort of all the credit, whereas they sort of don't get as much as you probably should. So it's a sort of my chance to be a sort of like, they are fucking amazing. Like, they deserve a lot more respect than they actually do get, to be fair.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. I mean, my nan in general, she was sort of a big part of who I am, who's, no longer with us anymore. But that's okay, because we have a song about it that comes out in the next month or two. So, swings and roundabouts from that. Yeah, I mean, we're also in a film, like an actual short film, not just a music video.
Yeah.
That comes out on Halloween. So yeah, not really a thanks as such, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. Yeah, that was filmed in St. Ives Corn Exchange in one night.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it's a little cheeky little horror short film on that my bandmates are in, and our rapper friend that we mentioned earlier also in. Yeah, all that sort of, not big parts, but we're in it.
Where can we find that? Where can we stream that or anything?
I believe it'll be on YouTube on Halloween itself.
Okay.
I probably should have made a note of their social medias. If you look at the Haunted Hall, I believe it'll be on Instagram and social medias and whatnot. Cool. Yeah, that'll be a short film that comes out on Halloween. The poster for it is literally me, not in this, but it's just me. So yeah.
Listen, that's cool. So yeah, so just make sure that everyone checks out the new track Kimura by Psychodrive. So, and if there's any bands out there, because we're running our Battle of the Band segment again, so I think Psychodrive have already been in it once. If there's any bands or promoters out there that would like your bands to be part of our Metal Lab Battle of the Bands, please get in touch with me on the Facebook page. Just PM me and I'll get back to you guys. So for all your news, reviews and interviews, join us at the Metal Lab, the home of underground metal.